started. So Tyler brought a bunch of delicious coffee, and Sukasa Property Management brought some donuts. So grab a donut, fill up that coffee cup. Don't be shy about getting refills during my presentation either. I know that's kind of like some of you shy off. You're like, can I quietly get more coffee? I don't care. So. Yes, Sukasa Property Management brought donuts, so have a donut. But yeah, get your coffee, get everything going. All right, let's see if this lapel's picking me up, so looks like we're good. So thank you all for coming out to 1 Million Cups. So if you haven't been here before, generally the idea of this is that we're going to have a short 6-minute presentation followed by 20 minutes of Q&A. And so the really important part is that entrepreneurs are coming here in order to get to tap into your knowledge and your connections. And so definitely the idea of the presentation is to get up here and be vulnerable and ask for help and receive that help. And when the community goes and helps entrepreneurs build successful businesses, then the community as a whole gets better. So that's the idea here. And so our first presenter, he's a really awesome guy, super humble, greatest guy that I know personally. He has this really cool DJ company. It's called Freakin Awesome. And his name is Gary, and that is me. And so I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation now. So why did I present at 1 Million Cups? So the idea was to explore some common pitfalls in the DJ business and then maybe crowdsource some ideas on an effective, fair pricing model. So Freakin Awesome's origin story, having a freaking awesome time. So I had some PA equipment, and my friends wanted me to DJ their weddings. They're like, hey, you know, you've got the personality for it. It'd be really cool if you could DJ my wedding. Besides, I've been to your house and seen your big speakers, and you should do it. So in 2009, I started DJing my friends' weddings, and the problem was I was booking work off of it. And so I started booking work and booking referral work. And I was like, you know, I'm going to get in trouble if I don't start a company. So me and my friends brainstormed and came up with some ideas. And somebody's like, whatever the company name is, when they hear it, they got to say, that's freaking awesome. So then I was like, wait a minute, what about freaking awesome? Let's try that. So that's how the company got named and how it got started. So I purchased a whole bunch of gear, all of the wrong stuff. Then I sold that, and then I bought better stuff. Then I realized that there was pitfalls with that, sold that, and got top-of-the-line gear. Then I realized all my stuff didn't match, so then I sold that and bought matching sets. So I bought my entire DJ equipment thing like 4 times. So that's definitely not something that you want to do to have a viable company. But I marketed my company just with search engine optimization and kind of word-of-mouth referrals. Now I've gotten to the point where I've gotten into lighting too, so we do some event lighting. And this is some footage from one of my events, just to give you a general idea of the larger type DJ package, because I'm going to be going through a little bit about that. But we have all this computer-controlled lighting, moving heads. It's kind of more the type of stuff that you would see at a concert as opposed to a wedding. And so it really has a dramatic effect of transforming a venue. We don't have to watch that whole thing though. So a lot of people are asking, you know, for a DJ, what's this going to cost me? So I've found that your average gig is about 5 hours, and my average ticket is about $709. I do have a higher package, the one that you saw in the video, that is about $1109. This is going to include setup, teardown, travel, ceremony equipment or extra gear that you need. So essentially, I'm trying to make it fairly easy. You pick the package, you pick the number of hours, and I provide everything that you need. I used to, you know, charge $25 for an extra microphone or $30 to bring this or something, and I just felt like I was nickel and diming the customers, and it wasn't helpful. So How are you going to scale a DJ business? So there's two ways to increase your bottom line: more gigs and more people working for you, or more money per gig. I would like to make more money per gig. I don't want to be a multi-op DJ business owner. There are some people that are very successful with that model. It seems like heartburn to me sending out a bunch of employees to do weddings. There are people that do it very successfully. They have great businesses. It's just not the lifestyle that I want. So I'll always DJ, but my main income actually comes from my web design business, and that's the way that I have it designed. I do that 5 days a week, and then I do the DJ business on the weekends. So what goes into an event? We're going to be exploring pricing models. So I was looking at this, and when you get kind of ridiculous with gear like me and some of my friends, you're paying $2,000 a speaker. That microphone I'm always talking on costs $500. So you start looking and adding up all of this gear. What would it cost just to rent this? So this is about $37,000 in gear that I'd bring to an event like you saw in the video. Now, I'm thrifty, so I probably only paid about 28 grand. And if any of you know my wife, don't tell her about this list. Because she doesn't know it costs this much, okay? She has no idea. Don't tell her. I would be in so much trouble if she saw this slide. So if you were going to have a rental house, rental houses, they do about 5 to 10% of the cost of the gear as a rental fee. So rental fee on this much gear would be about $1,400. Now you have your monthly music pools. I subscribe to 2 of them, $80, bunch of MP3s throughout the year, compilations. You know, your truck's going to cost you something, trailer, gas. You're at about $169 per gig there if you're doing 52. And then of course there's the time that goes into it. So initially working with the client, talking over the phone, setting appointments, and then your initial consultation, it's going to be about 3 hours. You have a year of random meetings, paperwork, things like that. You've got another 4 hours after the year. One final meeting for an hour. You've got to create a playlist, got to load out, you got to travel. For that big setup, you need 2 to 3 people for 2.5 hours to set up, 2 hours to tear down. Then you're there for 5 hours. So you have about 30 man hours, and you're looking at about $1,400 in labor there. So this is a formula that I found online, how to properly price DJ services, and this is the fair price for DJ services. And when you add it all up, it's $2,900 for an event like that. Now, the reason why I put fair in quotes is because 1, nobody's going to pay that, and 2, I think there's a little bit of exaggeration in this pricing model and formula. It's more made to get the industry as a whole to realize that DJ services should cost something. But it is an interesting exercise to go through. So if you followed this out with the entry-level DJ, and he has budget speakers, Walmart laptop, $2,000 in gear, he has Spotify Premium for $15 a month, so none of those music costs. It's illegal, by the way, but anyway, so you have that. And then a lot of the other things are similar. There's not as much planning, not as much interaction, so you have 10 man hours going in there. And according to that pricing model, it's about $700 is what you'd be paying for that. So there are 2 pricing models. There's hourly plus equipment, so that's just regular hourly gigs, or cost of equipment plus time, that crazy equation we went through that nobody actually uses. And then there's the daily models, and I think the daily models are actually more fair because I have the same number of weekends that everybody else does, and that's my inventory, and that's what I sell. I sell these days on the weekend. So if you have me for a day, you have me for a day, and I can't be somewhere else. So in the daily models, sometimes people do up to 6 hours. So whatever it is, it's the same price up to 6 hours. And if things go crazy long, hours 7 and 8 are extra. Some people just do all-inclusive DJ for the day, no additional charges, and they're just there as long as you want. They bring whatever's needed because the talent is them. That's the thing that you're buying. You're buying them for the day. Another one that I thought that was interesting is all-inclusive DJ for a day, so you get 4 hours of prime time. That starts an hour after dinner, and then you get up to 4 hours. And typically, an hour after dinner, wedding will go 3 or 4 hours, and that's taken care of. And so, looking at these models, I'm trying to find one that's fair and one that's going to be easy to explain to somebody. Now, one of the problems is with the entire day gig, I find that when I've tried that model in the past, I get a lot of 9 and 10 and 11-hour weddings. I get people who are like, why don't you show up at noon and start playing music while we set up? Because people are trying to maximize. They're used to buying a DJ by the hour, so they're trying to maximize it. And then, so I tried the up to 6 hours model, and what I found was that I could not, for the life of me, get a 3-hour gig. Because nobody, they think it should be half if it's 3 hours. And so, what I'm hoping is that we can talk through this a little bit and figure out what's a fair pricing model and how to present it in order to effectively raise my price. Now, elements of a top DJ, you've got different things. You've got your mixing ability, you've got your rapport building and authority, so how quickly you can connect with the crowd and how likely they are to listen to you and do the things that are needed in order to build the energy in the room. Mic and crowd skills and event experience is part of it, and that is actually separate from rapport building because you can have MC skills and event experience without really being able to build that rapport. Where most of the money is here is in these soft skills, customer service, before and after the event, and overall event presentation. So those are areas where you can really increase things and basically get people to have, you build value here, is what I was trying to say. So I know that in order to effectively raise my price, I do need to increase in all these 4 areas. I feel that I have good mixing ability, I have good crowd skills, soft skills are pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm awful in any of these areas, but there's room for improvement in all 4. And if I were to maximize all 4 of these areas, I think it would be great to be able to charge a higher ticket price. And so that is kind of one of my goals is, make a little bit more money, make it a little bit more worth my while to do these events. So key takeaways, a DJ is only worth what the market will support. So, this market probably won't support a $3,000 DJ. I know that Bozeman and Missoula markets do. I know a couple people successfully doing that. I don't intend to dramatically raise my prices. So I hope you guys don't eat me alive when it comes to questions. I'm presenting a common conundrum, hoping that I can learn from your expertise. So if there's a fair way to increase my average ticket by 100 or 2, I'd be open to it. So, and now I guess we're open for questions. I have a microphone here, and the way we're going to do the questions is we'll have a runner, and switch that on. And whoever has the microphone will get to ask the question.
Such a small space. I don't feel like I need a microphone. But what, you said you don't think the market here would support that. What is your competition in Billings charging then?
So I do have some competition that charges about $2,000 per event. They're more at the top. I have, for my biggest event with the most hours, I've maybe charged like $1,500. I think some people might charge around $2,500, and of course it's not unheard of for somebody to hire one of those higher ticket DJs and bring them in here. So I'm not saying it's entirely impossible. I'm just saying if I were to say, yeah, my event is $3,000, I would probably have less customers.
What's the difference in what they're doing and what you're doing?
One of the differences is, they've got 20 years experience. They have, I've been doing this for 10. They have ability to mix across various pieces of gear. A lot of it comes down to technical ability and just the confidence to be able to ask for that sort of price and not flinch.
You need to ask for it. Really, because if other people in the market are charging that and you're providing the same service, there's no reason you shouldn't. And I don't know why you couldn't offer both packages. Like
right.
You could offer an hourly package, and so you wouldn't lose the people that just want 3 hours, and you could offer the daily. I think you could do both of them. Then you won't lose any customers.
Okay. And in case you guys are wondering, the microphone is for purposes of it showing up on the video. So we know we can hear you, but when we play the video back, nobody can hear you.
Okay, so if you charge $1,000 on a weekend, or you charge $3,000, you have fewer clients at $3,000. Do the math. You made $2,000 more that weekend, so you don't have to have as many clients.
True.
Just work smarter, not harder. And I thought your prices seemed, I haven't had to hire a DJ in a very long time, but I thought they seemed really reasonable.
Oh, thank you.
So be pretty easy to move up market.
Couple of things. One, from her remark, you want to offer 3 prices, a good, better, best, as a bundle, and what you'll be surprised at is typically about 40% will go for the best. They're not as price sensitive as you imagine, and
Yeah.
most of the rest will go for the middle, while very few will go for the stripped down one if the 2 are next to them, and they see how much more they get for the increment. The other thing is you have at least 2 different markets with weddings, wedding receptions, and then corporate parties, large parties, etc. Very different price sensitivity, different referral groups in that. I would look at weddings really hard because they're crazy, and they equate quality with cost, and spend $8,000 to $11,000 as an average, even here. So you're asking for a relatively small proportion for what will make a lot of the event.
Yeah.
You're pricing yourself almost like a wedding cake or a wedding dress.
Yeah, yeah, and I have heard that photographers, they charge this price, and people say, well, it's justified because you have that forever. But if you get a bad DJ, you're going to have pictures of people frowning. You're going to have pictures of an empty event. So.
I was just thinking that to show your value, to show the lowest, you could just take a boombox and be like, I can set this up for $20 and leave, and show them the value there. If you have technical difficulties with it, I don't know if anybody knows how to work a boombox anymore, and just kind of show the minimal that they could be getting, and then maybe like you were talking about the middle package, and then the elite package that you could do. I think people would see the value.
Yeah, and I think the major hang-up is just bringing people around from seeing, I'm paying you $200 an hour for 5 hours of work, to that, no, I'm paying you for 20 to 30 hours that goes into the event, that it doesn't have to do. We want to get away from that hourly model because nobody really feels great about paying somebody $200 or $300 an hour to do anything, Like you do it for your lawyer and then you're really angry, And I'm not, I didn't go to law school, so why should I get $300 an hour,
Because you're worth it.
You actually deliver value.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I've been self-employed for a long time now, and I talk to other people who are self-employed, and you're right, setting your own rate and valuing your own time is incredibly hard. So I just echo what somebody said too, you're worth it, and don't undervalue your own skills. As far as the pricing model goes, I know it gets a little more complex, but have you thought about like a setup charge at 3 different levels for if you want me to here, just to get me here, it's this cost? And then maybe adding your hourly time on top of that so somebody can pick if they want 3 or 6 or whatever hours. Then over time, as you increase your skills, you can increase your hourly rate. And I know you were just talking about not wanting to charge $200 or $300 an hour, but if you can energize a room and, like you said, get pictures of people being really happy and everybody having a great time, I wouldn't say you're worth less than $200 or $300 an hour.
Gotcha, yeah, and my current model is Package Plus. So there's a set price to get me there for 3 hours, which is the minimum, and then you buy extra hours. Yeah. No, it's okay. And there's like this really cool design that I picked out. It's totally washed out. You guys can't see it. Looks like brushed steel. So just imagine that when you look at the slides.
How do you market yourself? Because I also feel like, especially in relation to weddings, like if you create this feeling of like this bride is just gonna be like, he's gonna help me create my dream experience of a wedding, versus like being worried about how much you are. Because if you can create this feeling of like, this is the guy, doesn't matter your experience, doesn't matter that your competition has way more experience than you, if he can create the feeling of the vision I have for my wedding, I don't care how much it costs. So
Right.
how do you do that currently? Do you
So I do have, I have worked with some video. I don't do as much social media as I should. I need to get better at that, but I'm always busy managing other people's social media accounts and just let mine go by the wayside. So in general, I pretty much have done solely search engine optimization, and then copy on the website and videos and things like that. My website's due for a
I
refresh.
do really like your video that you showed at the beginning.
Oh yeah. That was a lot of fun.
There's two approaches on pricing models. We're fooling with both of them. One is bundled, where everything is a single package, and unbundled is everything is a la carte or an option. I've noticed caterers and a lot of the others will, and even venues will do unbundled, so that they can incrementally raise the price by a whole series of their choices. So they
Right.
look at the bottom level, but then your final number is much higher. It's less convenient for both of you, but it can really build that up quite a bit. So you might want to look back at breaking them out of all the choices they can make, all of which have a charge, and it also makes it much more likely you get paid properly.
Right.
The other thing was how networked are you with the wedding industry? In other words, do the caterers know about you? Do the events and venues know about you? Do the ministers know about you? They all ask back the wedding garment. There's only a couple places that do wedding dresses. All of them refer back, and a lot of them catch the bride and the family much earlier.
Right. Yeah.
One of the best books I've seen was How to Get Married in 12 Months. And it starts with, you don't start looking for it's aimed at the women, you don't start looking for a potential husband or fiance till month 6. But you book the venue immediately, and then the church day 1. So you have those, and then you go look for a guy.
Gotcha.
Go, yep.
All right, and I think there were some people in the back with their hands up too.
And to build off that idea of unbundling, don't think of it necessarily as a negative. If you're going to unbundle and go through item by item like that, it's a chance to build a relationship with that client. Understand what they want, because what you are selling is an experience. You're not selling 5 hours of music.
Right.
You're selling the experience for the next 20 years, for the lifetime. So that's a real chance to build off that and get those add-ons and upsales.
It's been a while since I've gotten married, but from some data I had back in the day, 07, 08, the median price of the wedding DJ in Billings fell somewhere between $500 and $1,000 per gig. And we're about 12 years from that point. Has there been enough expansion and inflation in the market to justify that $3,000 like entry-level price jump, or sort of that pie-in-the-sky ticket pricing?
There are some DJs that will always charge that. Typically, you run into the cost of entry isn't that much, and there's always somebody. Like, I actually got into it because I was like, wow, DJs can make $100 an hour. I'm going to be a millionaire, And then I started running my cost, and I'm like, I'm making like $9 an hour. What happened? So there's always somebody who's going to jump in, and there's always somebody who does it just for the joy of it. And ultimately, I do it for the joy of it. I want to make it worth my while, but I don't want to be like, have a DJ be my sole job, but if I could do a couple gigs a month, that keeps me sane, and my sole source of income will be from something else. But there's always somebody who just loves doing it so much that they're going to come in and do it for $300 or $400, but at the same time, those events aren't the best events to be at. So yeah, there is a justification, but there's a huge price disparity, and it's like, well, what are you actually paying for? Are you paying for the talent? Are you paying for the gear? Or are you paying for the experience? And if you're paying for the gear and the hours, then yeah, it's worth $400 or $500, maybe $700. But if you're paying for the experience, why not $10,000? I don't know anyone personally who's going to pay that, but anything is worth what somebody will pay for it. So yeah, there are DJs that get that $3,000 price point. They're few and far between though, but what they bring something really awesome. In fact, one of the reasons why I want to increase my average billing is because I want to add a video element to what I'm doing. I want to make the experience even more. I want to be able to bring twice as much architectural lighting, because I want to transform that venue where people come in and their jaws drop and they're like, wow, this is the coolest place that I've ever been. And it's because you can make that transformation with lighting. And lighting takes time, and lighting takes money. It takes manpower to set up. I'd have to have somebody dedicated every gig to help me rig that, instead of bribing Doug McIsaac to come helped me set it up. You saw that list? He helped me haul that whole list in and set it up one night. It takes a while.
So really, Doug shouldn't have watched the slide presentation either.
So you had mentioned that in, what was it, Bozeman and Missoula, that they are charging about $3,000 to DJ. Have you had a chance to just sit down with them, call them, grab coffee, and pick their brains? And then, if so, what did you learn? Like, I'd be curious to hear like what their insights are when it comes to charging that amount, because, like, just as John was mentioning earlier, it wasn't like they were able to charge $3,000 10 years ago. So just to get a sense of what maybe the market looks like in these different areas.
So yeah, I did have a chance of sitting down with a DJ business owner in either Missoula or Bozeman, who I'm not going to name and not going to give you any hints, but he does charge that, and he does bring a lot of uplighting. He charges a lot more for the uplighting, but he definitely echoed some of the things you said. He sells the experience, you know, and he says, I'm not a DJ, I'm a marketer. He says, I market like nobody else. He says, I put that out everywhere. And I position my company as being the absolute premier choice, that it's the best choice. And he told me, he said, I can't do what you do on the decks. He's like, I can't do that. And there are other DJs that charge more than me that I can't do what they do. You know, there's different skill levels. But he said, it doesn't have anything to do with my technical skills. He says, we just build an experience. You know, people have a really good time. We've got the money in the budget to bring a couple of entertainers and all this stuff, and we have time to come in the night before and set the lights and make sure they're perfect and just make it a great experience. And that's what commands that $3,000. Yeah.
Gary. So I just want to commend you. Like, I love your logo and the Freakin Awesome, the FA. I recognize it when I see it. But maybe because you just say DJ services, maybe you could start promoting like really the experience that you create, because I didn't know that you brought like lighting and you made the ambiance of the entire place. You transform things. So maybe you could start really showing people the difference of the experience that you're creating, not just the music and the sound. It's lighting, it's everything. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she nailed it on the head. It's almost like we're so talking about the price. What you really need to do is create like a value proposition.
Right.
And then that will drive the price. So earlier you mentioned that you primarily market yourself with SEO and word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you saying about yourself? That's how you market yourself, not what platform you choose to put it on.
True. Very good point.
So is there, what's your I am freaking awesome message besides just an awesome name?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, in general, in my marketing, I've tried to drive that, you know, we're going to use all of this technology available in order to build the experience and drive the excitement and make this an unforgettable night. And that's the direction. I haven't pushed that too hard, but that's the direction that I've tried to take the marketing.
To kind of build on what she just said, I think you're selling yourself extremely short. You have 10 years experience. At that point, whether you have 10 years or 20 years, what you're offering, the experience, you need to sell that. But I think your past customers, let them sell you. You're not, from what it sounds like, tapping into the 100, 200 people that might attend a corporate event or a wedding. I guarantee you that girl that's getting married has 10 more friends that are about to get married in the next couple of years. So you need to promote yourself even at that event and get in touch and make sure you always have your calendar available, because if you can book, you know, your bread and butter, a $2,000, $3,000 event 6 months, 8 months from now, you know you have that in your back pocket, and I hope you're collecting a deposit or half down or whatever you're doing just to get on that calendar, because then you know, yeah, I got a free weekend. I can pull a $800 gig, that's fine. It's a weekend or it's a backyard deal, whatever. But you know because you have those other things already in place, on the calendar, set and ready to go. But you need to really try and position yourself with your past clients and have them get Google reviews, let them sell you because they're going to do a way better job than you are going to be doing selling yourself. And then the social media side of it too. I mean, the ripple effect is huge there. So
Yeah.
you need to believe in yourself, but also let the people that have already used you sell you, and they will.
Awesome. Thank you. And then. Time for one more question. Yeah, I was wondering. I usually keep the time, but I'm up here.
Okay, well, I know a great guy that can get that knows SEO and can get you to the top of the Google page. But also, I wonder if, as was mentioned, who are you reaching out to? What about a party? And invite ministers and tuxedo renters and all of these people that serve parties. Throw them a party. They probably don't have time to come, but you could do it at lunch maybe, and just have a party and show them what you do.
Gary, or do that as an open house sales event at Steppin' Out Formal Wear. Get all of the people that rent from their customer base and seeing your stuff at their place.
Yeah.
So you've heard a lot of suggestions on what you can do differently. What can we do as a community to help you?
Okay, so if you have a connection with somebody in the wedding industry, I like to do cross promotion. I initially, when I first started, I tried to do a lot of cross promotion with wedding vendors, and there were a lot of established DJ companies, and they didn't really want to talk to me. Now I find that wedding vendors do kind of want to talk and network, but it's just not a mode that I'm in, so I think I should get those connections. So if you guys have connections in the wedding industry, party industry, anything, venues, corporate events, get me in touch with those people, and so that I can get together with them and find out a way to help them, maybe. We can help each other.
Talk to them about their website. That 5-day-a-week job you have that pays a lot better, and that will tie you in with them forever. True.
Good work.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Just put it in my pocket. Alrighty.
All right, folks. So now we're having a quick bulletin announcement. Tuesday the 10th at 6 p.m., Revision Custom Home Design is doing a spring craft event at Imagine Studios on 24th Street West, $5 per person, RSVP via the Facebook page. And then, of course, Shelby has a mastermind at 3 p.m. at First Montana Title, and it's one that I probably should attend. It's called Target Market. So you get to figure out your target market. And next presenter is going to be SMW Designs.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Keith Wetmore, and I'm the owner of SMW Designs. SMW Designs is a custom wood shop. We build everything from custom tables to custom cabinets. We're not a cabinet shop. We don't buy cabinets from selected manufacturers and remarket them. We do everything custom. So if you wanted a cabinet that was specifically designed for your need to store a bed or to store whatever you want to put in it. We do custom sizes. We build them all out of solid wood. We use quality materials. Myself, I spent the last 16 years as a delivery driver. I got tired. I would work Monday through Friday and build things on the weekend, so I finally decided it was time to make a change. I live here in Billings. My whole life I've moved around for chasing jobs to jobs, and finally we came back home about 10 years ago, and this is where we're staying. I already went over most of that. We do custom tables, restaurant tables, you know, living room furniture, and like I said, pantries. We do cribbage boards, you know. Had a shop at the mall this holiday season. You know, cribbage boards were pretty popular. We do custom cutting boards, you know. I mean, we do some pre-built sizes that just people like, but you know, it's you name it. You call up, you want a cutting board, you know, you want one the size of a countertop so you can butcher beef. Hey, we can make it. We use natural finishes on, you know, we use mineral oil and beeswax, so it's food safe. You can lick off it if you want to, but custom builds is kind of the market that I'm trying to get going into, and that's where I make the most money. Is, you know, if you got an idea, you got a hole where your mantle should be, or like I said, my fancy oak table there, that was somebody, they bought a pool table, they wanted it in their living room, and they wanted a big top to go on top of it, you know, when they had family over for reunions or holidays, and I designed the table. I got a laser engraver. I engrave cutting boards, plaques, you know, basically. Some of the challenges that I'm facing is reaching the appropriate market. You know, I've been doing a lot of advertising on Facebook, and yeah, I get some hits and some calls, but usually it's economy customers that are looking for something quick and cheap, and they think since it's a custom wood shop that I'm going to buy the materials and build it for nothing, which is kind of a problem. And it's, you know, you get some customers that understand you have to build it, but it seems like with Facebook, it's more towards a thrift shop, you know, and of course, it's not exactly what I do. I do small items, like I said before, but without the shop in the mall, I'm relying on Facebook and online sales, which web pages, I've got a web page through GoDaddy, but if I don't pay Facebook to drive traffic to it, it doesn't do anything. You know, getting events, I'm registered with Montana Made Products, I'm registered to do government contracts, you know, all those things. It's just, but you spend a lot of time marketing when you build your services. Pricing, you know, trying to figure out what to charge that's a fair price for my customer and for me at the same time. You know, it's I've tried a couple of different models. Hourly is not fair for anybody. You try to build something, you know, especially with woodwork, you run into a problem or a drawer won't fit or you have a hardware issue, you're going to be at it a couple hours and not 5 minutes. You know, if you go to build a tabletop and, you know, your wood warps, you're going to have a lot more time fixing it or redoing it. You know, so hourly just, you know, it racks up. I tried materials times 3, which was you know, a popular model that people said around Facebook and everything else and contractors. That doesn't really work either. Usually somebody wants an oak table where you're looking at $3 or $4 a board foot. You know, it kind of pans out. What if somebody wants one out of zebra wood? You know, then you're up $25 a board foot. You know, so times 3, that same tabletop. I mean, it's, you know, you do the same amount of work. The price is exponential. The bidding is another one of my challenges. You know, people call you up, they want to know how much it is to build a custom table. You know, well, you sit down at the computer and you do all the math, and you figure out the materials, it takes a couple hours, you know, you give it to them, they say, well, sorry, thank you, we can't afford that. You know, so then you try the next one, and you try to go, yeah, maybe not so proud or down a little bit so you get the business. Well, then you get it, but then, you know, instead of making money on it, it's this agonizing, meticulous project that you're making a quarter an hour or something on that, you know, and then those always end up being the picky customers too that want everything fancy and everything perfect, and it's just like, when do you stop it? So, I'm still pretty new at this, you know, it's kind of, I don't have a whole lot to go off of. On my slides, it's all stuff that I've built. It's all my own work. Thought about maybe getting something for show that maybe, I didn't build, but that's not exactly the way that I want it. So it's a little short, but any questions?
Did you build that?
This one? No. Yeah, no, that's, no. It's cool. Yeah, it's an epoxy type table. I figured that one was going to phase out pretty soon, so I've done some with epoxy, but I haven't invested a whole lot of time into that business because the slabs and that's what's next. By the time, everybody's already got one, so trying to figure out what do you want.
Couple things on your bidding, which that's the hell everyone goes through,
Right.
people demanding complex bids and then deciding not to. One thing that helps is asking them a lot of questions when you talk to them. Find out their price points, their concerns, what they'd be like to work with. If they're highly disorganized or perfectionists that you're talking about, they're usually unprofitable to serve at all.
Right.
And if they want a whole stream of bids and designs for free, I'm sorry, you need to go find someone dumber than me to help you.
Right.
Some people go to where they charge for the design, which would be a thought. So you're getting paid up front rather than doing all the free work for the opportunity to make it at the lowest possible one. Because people will take designs and then take them to find someone cheaper to work with.
Right.
They have no honor in that regard. I'd also look at it suggests to me that you're looking at people that are in the first year or so of buying a home, but they're probably older, so they respect quality. They see features and options, so probably 50 plus in age range. So this is their fourth or fifth home. They're much more willing to buy custom furniture because they realized how badly most furniture is made.
Right.
After you've worn out a few pieces or found it can't be repaired or can't be fixed, you start to say, well, maybe an oak frame makes sense. Maybe staples are a bad idea. And I would probably go with the realtors and a price point on the houses so that you're talking to people that have spent $500,000 or more on a home. So your price point is small and that they're looking at entertaining in a show place instead of what's something my toddler can't destroy. There are a whole lot of customers not worth serving.
Yeah, I find those.
Yeah. For custom furniture and what you're doing, it's probably 85 or 90%. And people spend most of their money on a house in the first year after they bought it. That's when they do the alterations, modifications, and then don't usually spend anything for another 5 years.
Right.
So catching them right at that point of purchase, and now I need to customize this to me and to make it fit, that's that golden zone.
Okay.
So you said that you are registered with Montana Made. Are you going to do their trade show where you, I think a few years ago it's in Helena, I'm not sure if it's every year, but,
It's in 2 weeks? Oh.
But that's really great. When I go through it, there's tons of people with their wood crafts, and I purchase things like that. When I was looking around, there was tons of people purchasing cutting boards. I don't think I saw cribbage boards there, so that might be a little niche for you.
Right.
And then another thing is that realtors like to give gifts once they sell homes. So if you could create a deal with a realtor that like I'll do a hand thing for like a hand engraved cutting board that you can give to your client. They really love that because it's a really personal gift that they can then pass on to their client, thanking them for their home purchase.
Right.
Have you thought about marketing to like architects and designers?
I'm getting there. Yeah.
Just because a lot of times as a designer, they're coming up with ideas already, so they have the design, but they need someone to implement that. And I think that might be a really good market for you, where you're doing custom. I know like in the commercial market, they're doing like a lot of custom conference tables, things like that. So that might be a really good place to start, is marketing to people who are working directly with that client already.
Okay. Right.
So my idea was, again, realtor, but they're closer to me, but I'm a realtor, and there's tons of us. But yeah, we like to give closing gifts. The one that I usually give is like pallet boards, and then it's backlit with a Montana, and I usually put their last name in. But if you can just come up with some design to do that, but also collabing with like vacant houses are just awful to look at. So staging. So if you even come up with something like a table to help stage and put your card out there so that when people are going to see these houses, they see who built it.
Right.
So maybe it's not the house or the table for them, but they know who to go to when they do find their house. And then like also if you do the closing gifts, make sure you put your name on the back of it somewhere, or like where they can contact you too.
Right.
Because yes, it's a gift for them, but also they might have somebody else in their house who sees it and is like, where do I get one of those? And they're not going to remember. They're going to be like, got it from my realtor. So if they have somewhere where they can look and find it too.
So mine's not so much on the idea of doing closing gifts or anything like that, but with the troubles that you're running into on Facebook, ever since the birth of Facebook Marketplace, everybody's on there looking for a deal. So you're running into those problems of people wanting to have nice things and have nice things custom built, but they want them for basically dirt cheap. You should maybe think about switching your marketing over to Pinterest. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but Pinterest actually has the highest income per capita of any social media platform at the moment. So people who are on there are going to be way more willing to pay for quality, especially if it's custom work. You can also be building like even just a light blog. I'm not much of a writer. I write like garbage, but even if you're doing a blog and explaining all of the work that goes into it, and then at the very bottom, somebody's gonna be like, man, I don't want to build my own table. Like, that sounds ridiculous. So they're gonna be willing to pay you for that work. And not to mention, over 90% of the people who go onto Pinterest, they actually end up executing or purchasing whatever they're researching. So you might have a higher closing rate on things like that and be able to run into people who are more willing to pay for that quality as opposed to Facebook. And Instagram is also good, but Instagram on the other end of the spectrum has the lowest income per capita out of any.
Instagram is Facebook, just a different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's owned by Facebook for sure. But the thing about Instagram and being able to do marketing on that is, one, it stays very local, and two, people are way more willing to process a picture or a slideshow of all the work that went into you building a custom table for the top of a pool table or whatever. They're going to be way more willing to process that and not read these huge Facebook posts on all the work that goes into it. So you just might have more closing opportunities with Pinterest and Instagram showing the people the work that you put into it.
Do like a time-lapse video? I get sucked into those. Yes. But I would never do it myself. But I would be like, oh, that's beautiful work. I get one of those.
And they see the work that you put into it.
Yeah, people will see that quality.
Okay, so I wouldn't knock Facebook ads though. Are you actually using Facebook Ads Manager, or are you just boosting your posts? Because there's heavy targeting in Facebook ads. So you can target an income demographic. Are you doing that?
I didn't find the income part. I always like go for like weddings or realtors or people who want furniture, it seems like the tab is running up, and usually your friends look at it, so that costs $5, and then
So refining your target market with Facebook ads is huge. So I would go in there and play around with it. I can send you a link if you'd like on some more information.
Sure.
So. I was just going to say real quick, I definitely agree with targeting designers, and I can give you my card later, because we'll design it, and that saves you a little bit of time with the actual specifications of coming up with how big it needs to be. But last time I tried to build a piece of furniture, I put a drill bit through my hand, so I would definitely pay someone else
that hurts,
to do
doesn't
that.
It?
And what I was going to say is, when it comes to the time spent estimating, start keeping a spreadsheet of all the estimates that you've done, so that you can start to then average it out and say, okay, well, dining room tables, yes, there's a variation in size, but I'm noticing a trend that it's about going to be this. And that will help at the get-go when someone asks you to put together an estimate. You can say, okay, I can really figure this out specifically, but the last before that I've estimated have been in this range, and that'll help minimize some of those tire kickers right off the bat and save you a little bit of time, whether it was a finished project or not.
To go along with that, I think the custom pricing is hard. It's super challenging because you don't have a consistent, there's nothing consistent about it. So I would start with a base price, like for a table, a base price for a table, and then if you want certain things, then you add on to that. Because if you go in with a base and you have an estimated price, then at least they know what to expect. And if you target the higher market price, then they will be more than happy to pay for that. And people love that Montana stuff, like those cribbage boards. I've seen you advertise on Facebook, so I'm totally gonna buy one. But if that is a higher price point for you, if you're making money on that, then I would push those things that are making money for you so you can get a base to build those other things. Because the custom stuff is hard. But if you start at one area, like a table or cribbage boards or something, and then you build your base with that, then it's a lot easier to expand out from there. So
Right.
I would start with this is a basic price of what it costs to do a Montana table, or whatever table it is you're doing, and then go from there.
I've broken it up. Yeah, I used to, the first couple of tables I did, I insisted to put breadboard ends on them because it's actually really good for the table. It helps prevent cupping and warping, and it works. They add probably about 5 or 6 hours per tabletop to do it, cutting a tenon that small and a mortise, getting it fit in place. So now, if they want that, I mean, that's extra money. I mean, it's just, but
if you present that up front and say this costs $300, but if you add this, it's an extra $300, then it's something that you already have prepared, and then you don't have to go around the conversation because you're the expert. You can say you need this, and it'll cost you this much extra, but that will sustain your table for a while.
Right.
Hi there. Love what you're doing and all of the ideas. One of the things that came to mind when Pinterest was brought up is, I'll tell you the background for my thought, but my daughter's 5 and her best friend wanted a backpack that would fit an 18-inch doll. American Girl sells them for $40, good for them. But I was able to find one on Pinterest that was $30, and if I had seen that on Amazon, there's no way I would pay that because when you think about the material. But she customized it, so she was able to make Frozen 2 fabric and make the backpack for me, design how I wanted, and I was more than willing to pay it. And then she emailed me to thank me for my business and said, if you think of any other custom things that you would like, please feel free to email me. And so now I have a direct connection with her email, not just Pinterest. But thinking about what you do, you're an artist, a master craftsman, and so somebody who throws back to you, oh, I can't afford that, was probably the wrong customer to begin with. And so what Al said about finding out their budget and their goals to begin with is what is your goal? Because as an artist, I'm going to call you an artist, you have the opportunity to create something really unique and special, and with your master craftsman skill sets, to take that to the next level in terms of your marketing and branding. I had a photographer client that out of the gate was told, hey, you need to charge really low to enter the market. And she was like, no. So she started charging $5,000 to $10,000 out of the gate. She was brand new and self-taught. She's never lowered her prices. In fact, she's increased. And she actually got more business out of the gate marketing herself as a self-taught artist than somebody that's, hey, can you do me a favor? And so I think just in terms of marketing yourself as an artist, finding the right platform of the Pinterest, that customization piece, and finding the right customer that really does want an artist, it's different. So that was my thoughts from kind of that I wanted to.
So I guess I am your target market. I believe that furniture is art, and so I prioritize that over buying some cheap furniture. So I actually had a guy build a custom table for my family, and I think of it as something that we'll hand down to our kids and their grandkids. So the money part was, of course, part of the equation, but the priority was something that's going to last, something that's beautiful. And like when it came time for us to make the decision, we did a lot of research, and guess where we looked? Google. And Etsy actually does a really great job of promoting custom-made furniture. So we have custom-made garage doors that we had a guy make for us, and we found him on Etsy. So you wouldn't think that would be a place for that, like, because think maybe more craft stuff, but it exists, and I would encourage you to take a look at some of the other really beautiful custom-made furniture that's available on that platform. So that's first. And then second, you know, as a craftsman, as an artist, you spend a lot of time focusing on your work. It also really start focusing that energy and time on your branding. And I wouldn't do that in a bubble. Like, I'd get people that you trust, people like this, to take a look at your logo, take a look at your branding, take a look at your website, and just ask them, like, what kind of message are you receiving? Like, what am I communicating about the quality of my work? Because if you can get that feedback, then maybe you can make some adjustments accordingly. And also, I'd continue to talk to your target market. It doesn't need to be like, hey, I've got this custom piece of furniture that I'm trying to sell. It can just be like, what are you looking for when you're looking for a custom-made table or whatever that is? Getting that feedback and then starting to really hone in on what they want, what they're looking for, I think would be invaluable.
So Etsy, they want you to ship it within 5 days. So that's why, I mean, I post cribbage boards on Etsy because I can make them in a day, you know, dry times and machine time. But as far as something, you know, I tried to put a custom toy box on Facebook, you know, and of course it's $700, which, you know, it's custom. But, you know, as far as the turnaround time, can I make it in a day? No. You know, you have to do, you know, especially out of solid wood, you got to glue your panels together, and you got to get the frame. And even with the plan, I mean, you're at best finished. You're probably, if you worked on it religiously, you're looking at probably 3 days. You know, and that's with it wet. So, you know, then the finish has to cure, and then everything would have to be put back together. So, and then you got shipping costs. How much would it cost to ship a 100-pound toy box? You know, I mean, that's, you know, kind of few troubles with Etsy, but.
I waited 6 months for my product after I ordered it. So.
And you bought it from Etsy?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what that
So I just want to say that you have shifted so much from the start of this conversation to now, and really believing in yourself and really moving forward in a state of belief that, as we talked about with the first gentleman, like, and he hit on, is capturing the experience, getting the feeling that these people want rooted in things that will be passed down for generations. My parents pay out the hind end for things to put their brand on. You know, farmers and ranchers who have generations and generations of things they want to pass down as they see it fading out. I spent $300 on a chessboard in Bali for my son because it represents so much, something so much bigger than just the piece, the game board. It represents tradition, and it represents a capsule of time from generations back to generations forward. And being able to really get people to, like we talked about, that target market that believe in what they have to send on to people, their loved ones that they don't even know yet.
As a thought from one of the points on a conference table, I would pretty much ignore the consumer market and focus on the commercial market. Then I would, because they'll pay you a lot more. They do a lot more and there's a stream, but I would focus on lawyers. Lawyers love custom desks, matching bookcases, matching credenzas, really impressive furniture. Everybody else in the office, there's about 400 lawyers in Billings alone. And then they want a home desk with home credenzas, cabinets, etc. So they can be a long stream of work, as well as then you can wainscot the place. You can build additional storage in because they always need that. You could look at a small ad of the Montana Lawyer, which is the magazine everybody in the bar, and you have to be in the bar to be a lawyer in Montana. That's published out of Helena by the Montana Bar Association. And a classified ad is really cheap.
If you did want to target
lawyers or even realtors or anyone you want to target. You could make like little coasters with your logo on them with a pamphlet of other projects that you've done, and then just drop it off at these facilities. And it's like, hey, if you ever need anything, and then they'll put that coaster on their desk and they're constantly looking at you. So when they have that idea for like, I do need a table, I do need matching credenzas, they're gonna go, oh, this guy right here, I have a coaster from him, it's beautiful, it's held up, well, let me pull out his pamphlet or let me look up his website because your information's right on the coaster. And so it just kind of is there all the time to keep you front of mind for when those projects do pop up.
We've got time for one more.
Would it be practical for you to have 3 different designs for maybe a cutting board, for example, that you put in an open house for a realtor? Because every person that comes through there has a buyer's agent too. You could say, select your closing gift, talk to your agent about it, you know, and then you could have something ahead of time with a couple of different options targeting these open houses that are going to have the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, and just lots of other agents walking through. So anyway, would that possibly be something that would work for you?
Yeah, actually that would be.
Okay, so you've heard a lot of great feedback, a lot of suggestions for what you can do. Is there anything specific that we can do as a community to help grow your business?
Well, I brought some pamphlets and cards, I guess, if hear anything, you know, or just pretty much getting the word out. You know, I know that's what nobody wants to hear, but you know, it's kind of, you know, renting a billboard's astronomical, and you know, I think a bench is a couple $100s a month to get your face out there, and then, like I said, the wrong people see it, so they.
Good work.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming out. I was a little bit flustered at the beginning because, of course, I was presenting and I had my presentation on my mind. So if you have a chance, go ahead and check into Facebook, do some of that stuff, and we'll see you next week, all right? Thank you.
I just want to say, too, thank you guys so much for using the mics. It helps so much when it comes to doing this video and everything like that. I'm trying to make the